We have a phenomenal set of sessions for you this morning. So up first is Michael Winslow, who has spoken here at DevOps Enterprise 6 times. He is Senior Director of Engineering at Comcast, currently ranked 26 on the Fortune 500, with thousands of software developers. Over the years, he's had a variety of roles, including leading Xfinity Mobile and Xfinity Stream. Today, he will be sharing the story of how, after a decade of leading dev teams, he was asked to lead the SRE initiative for a critical service, Xfinity Back Office. And when I say critical, it's because it enabled revenue-generating services such as plan activations, whether direct-to-consumer or through storefronts. He will be talking about the SRE principles he tried to apply, the lessons he learned, and the value that he found within the SRE body of knowledge, as well as the capabilities and value that he and the teams created. And I am so delighted for my friend Michael because after we recorded the session, it was announced that he was being promoted to become a distinguished engineer, which represents less than 1% of the engineering community. So here's Michael.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Gene. I can't believe this is already my sixth talk. Hearing you say that takes me back to 2018, to that first lightning talk that I did in front of the crowd. Really excited to talk to the audience one more time. So like Gene said, I'm Michael Winslow, currently Senior Director at Comcast. A fun fact about myself is I still code for management tasks. I find a lot of joy in it. And I would say that anybody who moves over to management from technology should consider doing the same. So today I'm going to talk to you about building confidence in your SRE team. Now, before I do, I want to stay in touch with everybody. So if you go out and Google me right now, you won't find me. You'll actually find this guy, Michael Winslow, who makes all the sound effects on Police Academy. He was recently on America's Got Talent as well. He's the most famous Michael Winslow. So if you want to stay in touch with me, you're going to want to reach out to me directly. A funny story with that also is I had a friend of mine that says, well, if you have the same name as somebody else, just use your middle name, and start using that as your professional name. Well, the problem with that is my middle name is Scott. So anybody who's fans of The Office knows that there's a more famous Michael Scott out there as well. So just to be safe, Michael S. Winslow at either Twitter or LinkedIn. Let's stay in touch. All right, let's start off. This is where I work. This is where I went into the office every day before the pandemic started. I honestly can't wait for the numbers to get back down and go back there. This is the Comcast Technology Center, and I really want to call out specifically the word technology. Comcast is not always top of mind when people think about technology companies, but we have, in fact, made the change over the years from a cable provider to a technology company that provides cable and other things. To illustrate that, let me go over an overview of what Comcast looks like as a whole. So I work in the area that is Xfinity Mobile, X1, X5, X Home. But right in product and services, we have Freewheel, Spotlight, Comcast Business. And in Comcast as a whole, we have Spectacor, Spectra, a lot of other operating companies, including Comcast Ventures. Now, in 2018, when we really started to build our family up and bring on Sky and NBC Universal, you could imagine there were so many operating companies that we were working with. And DevOps became absolutely critical because what we wanted to do as we brought on new operating companies, as much as possible, is to kind of remove these artificial lines that were between the companies, share information across. So DevOps has been crucial in all of that. So right around 2016, I joined Xfinity Mobile. And at the time, it actually was a super secret project because Xfinity Mobile didn't actually launch until April of 2017. So at this time, we were just kind of acting as a startup. So specifically, my part and the team that I worked on was the Xfinity Mobile back office. So we supplied all of the APIs and orchestration for the direct-to-consumer website, the future stores that would be popping up, the Xfinity Mobile stores that started popping up. We did a lot of the logic and guts behind, being able to sell and operate the phones. So we adopted this DevOps model, which worked well because unlike Comcast as a whole, which is a large enterprise, at the time, Xfinity Mobile acted as a startup. So it was easy to pick up these practices and get teams to buy into it. Now, after the launch of Xfinity Mobile and after I was on the project for a while, I moved to a different part of Comcast called Software Strategy and Transformation. We were kind of the engineers that helped the other engineers at Comcast. And so when we moved over to that group, I remember specifically wanting to bring over all of my knowledge of DevOps. And they said something interesting to me. They said, well, on this team, we don't do DevOps. Instead we do SRE. All right. Now, I had heard about SRE, but I had not dove deep into exactly what SRE was and how it differed from DevOps. Since I was starting new on a new team, I really wanted to get an idea of how they were doing this. And so I asked them, what is your definition of SRE? And at the time, the team said, well, our software engineers develop the software and our site reliability engineers operate the software. And I thought probably the same thing that a lot of you are thinking right now. How is that not just operations, And so where developers would just toss, code over to operations and have them operate it in production. But still, I was a little skeptical, but I still wanted to work with the team to really define what SRE was. So I joined a book club with the team at the time where we were going to read site reliability engineering and see what practices we could take out of it. And I started with the mindset of, I want to bring a lot of my knowledge of DevOps into this and find a starting point that lets me relate to exactly what site reliability engineering is.